There we go.
Finally.
Mr. Dylan Weightman. Our fourth artist showcase.
Number 4.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. How was the drive out?
Long.
Yeah, that's right.
But pretty.
It's nice. Back roads. 0 out.
Love it. I was so impressed when you showed me this theme song.
Everybody seems to compliment it. I was like, oh.
It's really good.
We still have to do our Between Sets theme song.
That's right.
Kind of dropped the ball on that. But anyways, welcome you guys to another episode of the AC Show. My good buddy Dylan. You might recognize him from the Between Sets podcast that we also do.
Or from many years of sitting behind Andrew.
And now we are equals on the AC Show. So you're up against some stiff competition. How are you feeling about these other artists that you're following? Because I've done back-to-back ones now with Cross Parallel and then our buddy Kyler. I can finally call him a friend because I talked to him for more than 10 minutes.
Yeah, you guys actually hung out in the same room.
Yeah.
I respect them, but I feel I hold my own.
I think you do too, man.
Thank you.
And you guys will hear that with some of the music coming up.
Thank you.
And we're going to get through this podcast, and then we got a little road trip planned, hey?
Yeah, this is actually pretty cool. We're doing this, and then we're heading up to Whistler.
Yeah, sorry to the Jolly Miller folk who might have showed up to watch us. We were in Whistler, which we're going to be heading up to right after this.
You want to hear something kind of ironic?
Oh, yeah.
So the Jolly Miller, there's pockets of the year where it's not that busy, right? Like we see these like peaks and valleys. And then tonight, my sister has a friend who's an RCMP officer on a course, and she's going to bring a whole bunch of them to the Miller tonight. Shit. And we're not there.
My bad. But this will be fun.
Nice change up.
And so, did you bring Between Sets gear?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think we'll say, if you want to hear about this gig up in Whistler and the story behind it and how we got booked, it's a pretty good story.
Yeah.
You'll have to check out the next episode of Between Sets.
And we'll probably record some of it on the road.
Yeah, I think so. In the Ferrari.
Hell yeah.
In the Enzo. So anyways, we're going to be talking a lot about your music, but I wanted to start off with a segment that I've forgotten over the past little while. It's called Family Time.
Okay.
So we're going to play another theme song of mine right away, just to do this. Have you heard this?
I don't think I have. Oh, I have.
Family time. Ooh, ooh, ooh. It's family time. It's family time.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Little Haven in there. Because my wife, Jamie, as you just saw, is about ready to pop with our
tonight, actually.
baby boy. Yeah, Dylan has predicted. Well, why don't you explain to the...
3 weeks ago, Andrew was kicking around. They're not sure. Like, Jamie was almost ready to have the baby like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then I guess it settled down, or however that all works. But I said, June 5th, me and him have a gig at the Miller, I thought. And I said she's going to go into labor that night, and you're going to have the baby early in the morning on June 6th, because people born on the 6th are the best.
That's right.
So I picked tonight, but yeah, well, it remains to be seen.
I know. And not to be confused, because you guys will be probably watching this on Sunday or Monday or something, but today is June 6th. So
Today's the 5th.
Oh, right. Oh, right. So it's going to be
early in the morning.
Early in the morning on the 6th.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to make sure, do you have any questions for me about me becoming a father again? Do you have any worries or anything we need to talk about? Just because I know it's going to be a big change in our relationship as well. I'm going to have another kid. And, yeah, shit gets crazy when they're first born. But so do you have anything we need to talk about before
Wow, good question.
before baby number 3?
So first off, I have to say,
whatever the hell we're at. Cats and fuck. Anyway.
First off, I have to say it's been very impressive seeing you step into the role of a father.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and not only as
This fucking guy.
the lawnmower guy.
They're coming to mow our lawn right now. So sorry if you hear some grunting and engine noises. But thank you,
We'll fix
Dylan.
that in post.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've walked into the role quite naturally, quite impressively. And I mean that as seeing you interact with your children.
Yeah.
And then also as a friend, it's kind of like you haven't totally noticed. He's not one of those guys that's been like, I'm going to have a family now.
Yeah.
You know, I'm too busy for you. Always down to hang out still and make things work.
Yeah, we do our best. It does make it a bit more challenging,
Mhm.
but you're pretty good about coming out this way once in a while. And
Try to, not
Yeah.
as often as I
yeah,
should.
yeah.
But yeah, with this new one, I guess my biggest question would be, do you think going from 2 to 3 is going to be a significant difference.
I do.
Yeah.
So yeah, you might not see me very much
Yeah.
anymore. I know Jamie's always been on board, and I'm like, anytime we're trying to get out the door or whatever with these 2 kids, and it's like hell, like trying to get them out, get them shoes on or whatever, and just leave. And I'm like, you want to add another kid to this? Like that's gonna be screaming just like these 2 are screaming. So
Was part of the deal, you know, Jaden's probably old enough to help. Was that
Yeah.
part of the arrangement?
yeah, we're hoping that's gonna happen, and only time will tell about that. So we'll see. But anyways, I do think it's going to be quite a transition. But I mean, we're going to get through it. And then I think after the first few months, it'll calm down. We'll get into a groove and
Yeah.
figure it out.
Do you think, of all areas of your life, what do you think will be impacted the most negatively and positively?
Whew. Jeez, whose fucking show is this?
Mhm.
Negatively, I think
Your golf game?
this year, my golf game. I was actually going to say my golf
I was
game.
hoping you'd say that.
Yeah, because Dylan really likes to beat me on the golf course.
I'm probably like 20% worse than you.
Yeah.
And I can, once in a while I can compete, but if you're on, I don't have a chance.
And you just needed this next kid of mine to come
Mhm.
along to
That's the hope.
catch up. And positively, I'm gonna have a hockey player
Yeah, that's true. You're gonna get into
Yeah.
male sports.
because I don't think Haven's gonna play again. She didn't.
Okay.
I don't think she's into it. So yeah, he'll be.
But they're both-
he'll
the
be my
girls are
little
loving
hockey player.
Baseball.
Yeah, they're loving
Cool.
baseball, which is fine. But yeah, I need that. Need a hockey player.
Yeah.
Need someone to sit down and watch sports with. He's not gonna understand much yet, but he'll grow up doing
But
it,
you'll be
so.
taking him to the rink and doing
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Yeah, it'll be good. Anyway, so there's a bit of family time. Thanks for that, man.
Perfect.
Let's get into the more important stuff here. I had rave reviews about this new game we played.
Okay.
From I think 2, maybe 3 people, and it was the Big Shiny Tunes game.
That's funny because I threw on Kyler's podcast when I was at work yesterday. I was like, I better
Yeah.
watch a couple more of these again. So I briefed, and then I saw him do the game.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So did you study, or is this going to be
didn't.
kind of random for
I
you?
didn't study.
So we're going to start with the hard one because I think the first one is the most that I actually didn't know. So here you go. Big Shiny Tunes number 1.
Yeah,
You
so
got to quickly review and then pick your favorite.
This is the one I would have been just a year or two too young to like understand.
Yeah, same as me.
So
But
let's look here.
I had my older sisters were always getting them. But yeah, that's the one where there was a few I didn't actually recognize. But anything standing out?
Yeah, I think Just a Girl by No Doubt has
Mm-hmm.
stood the test of time.
Kyler almost chose that one.
Yeah, and then I just went and saw Gwen Stefani do her Just a Girl show in Vegas, and
Yeah,
better than ever. She's
that's
so good.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going to change it up, and instead of going to Big Shiny Tunes 2, we're going to go to Big Shiny Tunes 3. We're going to switch up the
this
order.
is the one that like changed. You know, really, that's when I was
It
like,
has
oh, I think
changed my
like,
life.
I think I like music once I got this one.
I'm also going to change up this game because I'm going to pick in my head which one I think you're going to pick,
Okay.
and then you're going to pick it, and then we're going to see if we pick the same song.
Okay.
So I think you are going to pick. Wait, but how am I going to know? Because I could just lie and be like, yeah, that's the one I picked. I won't lie. I promise.
Okay.
Honor system here. Okay, got it. I didn't
Okay.
even really look at them all, but I found a good one. And don't let what you think I would pick influence what you will pick. You pick your pick.
I definitely know what you picked. Ooh.
And
Okay,
it's gonna
so-
be tough.
The one now, I would say, or the one at the time?
Yeah, I guess at the time, like your first, like when you were actually listening to this CD,
Oh.
what your favorite was.
Okay, in that case, it would have been Third Eye Blind, How It's Gonna Be.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I picked
Really?
for you, buddy.
Yeah, that's the one at the time
That's
that I really
awesome.
like. Now I would say My Hero by Foo Fighters. Or
Yeah.
The Way by Fastball.
Okay, yeah, The Way is a pretty cool one. Okay, I'll just let you do this one on your
Okay.
own. This is the staple one. This is pretty much where half of our set list comes from.
Totally.
As our Big Shiny Tunes tribute band that Dylan and I are in.
This is the one that went like triple diamond or something.
Really?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
remember Andrew and I recorded with the guy in Age of Electric.
That's right, yeah.
But on this one, holy shit, this one's so good.
I'm going to get even more comfy here. I'm going to go full, like, announcer. Hold this thing. So I want to be more comfortable looking at you. This is cool. Oh, yeah, this is way better.
So at the time,
You got it.
it was probably Walking on the Sun by Smash Mouth.
That Kyler picked that one.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Crazy.
That is. It was
Yeah.
interesting. I wouldn't pick that. I haven't told the
I
people
just
my
remember at the
favorites yet.
time I was just starting to notice music in that dang, gang, gang, and then the
Yeah.
ride cymbal. I thought that was like
it is.
it
It
caught
is
my
a pretty cool
attention.
tune. Anyway,
Yeah.
so there's our second episode of the
That's fun.
Big Shiny Tunes.
That's
game.
a really good test for any millennial.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's a cool one. Anyway, so I want you to talk a little bit about your musical beginnings, what got you started into drumming, obviously,
Okay.
and just some of your first favorite bands, maybe, or influences, and how it all got started, how old you were, growing up
Okay.
in Alberta, right, a little bit, but then mostly moved out here for music stuff. So anyways, take us on a bit of a ride.
Musical history
A
of
musical
Dylan.
history ride
My
of Dylan.
My first musical memories would be my parents. We did lots of long camping road trips.
Yeah.
And we'd listen to the Eagles cassette and then this mashup of 50s, 60s music called Jive Bunny and the Master Mixers. That's the only thing I really remember. I don't remember really like loving music or having any like natural curiosity about it at first.
Yeah.
And then we moved here. And then my sister got in the band program, and then it's like a younger sibling thing where whatever the older one gets to do, you're like, I should get to do that too. So I remember in grade 5, I wanted to be in band because my sister Christy was.
What was she playing?
She was playing flute.
Yeah, of course.
And so I said, they asked for volunteers. It was like one of the only elementary schools with a full band program. I said, I want to be in the band. And then they said, well, we need people for drums. Is that something that interests you? I said, yep, sure, that works. I didn't really care.
Yeah.
And then she said, okay, done. And then she said, well, actually, the kid who played drums last year, his sister's going to play them because he already owns a drum and make it easy for the family. So you're going to be trombone. I was like, oh, yeah, I guess so, whatever.
Wow.
Yeah. And then so I was like, yeah, I guess I'll try that. And then within a couple days, she said, okay, so that girl didn't want to do it, but there was 5 of you that wanted to play drums. So I drew names out of a hat and I picked yours. That's how it all started.
So we were like 80% chance of not having this phenomenal drummer in the world,
Yeah.
pretty much. If
Yeah.
any of those other names had been picked from the hat,
Weird, eh?
you might never have picked up a drumstick. Or,
Miss Lavoie. Pulled
wow.
my name out of a hat. So I started on the snare drum in grade 5. I remember thinking the sound of it was cool, not the sound of a snare drum, but when she said, okay, so your drum's going to come with drumsticks and a stand and then your drum, I was like, I'm going to have drumsticks.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is cool. Then I got it, and then I realized, you hit it, you try and practice, you can't do anything. You're like 10 years old, so it wasn't that interesting. And then in grade 6, so now I'm like 11 or 12 or something like that, I got a used drum set, and I took drum lessons. And then me and my friend James Stobie, who I still play with today, we played Louie Louie at our elementary school assembly in front of the whole school.
Wow.
And that was my first gig. So we were like 12. And it's so weird looking back because you're like, how was I confident enough to think, hey, we have a band and we're going to play in front of the whole school? Like, I don't know. It's just so weird to think that that's what you did.
It is quite like a,
So
extrovert thing
So
to do.
I liked it at the time, but I wasn't like, it didn't dominate my life or anything. I was like, okay, I take drum lessons. This is a cool thing to try. It wasn't until I was in like grade 7 or 8, and my drum teacher, Ian Lockheed, said, hey, I've been taking lessons with him for like a year or 2 now. And then he said, there's this thing called Vancouver International Drum Festival. I take some students every year. It's some big drummers come and they'll do a clinic.
Mhm.
And I had no idea what he meant, but he said it was a good idea for me to go. So I said, okay, I'll try it. At the time, he said, I think some lessons I had some natural ability when I actually practiced, but I was sort of like on the fence, in and out, how much interest I had. And because I didn't really know what you could do with them. So then we went to Vancouver International Drum Festival, bought a bunch of tickets to see these big name drummers. The first guy I saw was Lenny Kravitz, drummer, and it was definitely cool. But one of the second or third people I saw was this guy named Kenny Aronoff. And I was like 13. Anybody out there, look him up and you'll see what an impact he's had on music. I knew nothing. Weird name, really muscular little dude. I have pictures of the whole first clinic because I was just in awe. So he sits down. I don't even think he spoke. I think he came out. He had like a normal drum set. Some of these guys have these big monster ones. He had a pretty normal one. And this was the first drummer, and actually to this day, one of the only ones I saw that actually played on popular radio hit music. So he sat down and he's like, so here's some songs that I played on in the studio. And he plays this song, I think it was Alanis Morissette, 8 Easy Steps. So it's a song I had heard on the radio. And then he's so intense, and he played the full drum track to it. So he had the isolated tracks with no drums, and he played. And I remember it was just like I had no idea you could do that on the drum set.
Yeah.
And
crazy.
that was like a major something shifted in my head. And then he played Everywhere by Michelle Branch. That's him playing drums on that. A couple Smashing Pumpkins tunes. He did all the
Really?
John Mellencamp, Jack and Diane. Every John Mellencamp hit is Kenny Aronoff on drums.
Very cool.
Bunch of John Fogerty. So that was a defining moment. So then from then on, I went to all these every year to the drum festival, and I got really into it from then on in.
Yeah. Sweet.
Mhm.
And
So
so
that's sort of the genesis of the
kind of like grade 8, grade
Yeah.
9, grade 10, things got
yeah.
really
So then I
serious.
was trying to put together bands and play shows and worked on drumming. I'd come home from school and I would just work on drumming, tuning them,
Yeah.
practicing. I was hooked.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Wow. So
That was the start.
Yeah, and then so what was your first official band?
It's a problem that's plagued us for years. Naming a band was so
Yeah,
hard.
yeah.
I don't think we ever settled on a name. A friend of ours took pictures of us at one of our gigs, and he took really good pictures. So we joked that we would call ourselves the Shawns. And I don't think we ever fully agreed on that. And the funny thing is,
'Cause the photographer was Sean.
Sean Deline,
Oh, Sean Deline.
and he still takes pictures to this day.
So good, man. I love
Yeah,
his
he's
stuff.
phenomenal. So
Yeah.
it was really
He probably
funny.
took some of those pictures I posted of Kyler, actually. I know he did. A couple of them anyways. So
Yeah,
shout out
he did.
Sean Deline. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, I should dig up the first. Must have been the first band he took pictures of. We played
Yeah.
at a school assembly. We played like Nirvana and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we never really had a name, but the Shawns was as close as we came. So it was me. It started in grade 8 with me, Aaron Murray, who comes to our
Yeah.
gigs.
Yeah.
James on guitar, a different James.
Is
in
he the one
first
that fell asleep at the table one time?
Aaron was.
Yeah.
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 And then on bass was a young man named Adam Coleman.
Yeah. Okay. So he's stuck in your life
Yeah.
the whole way.
So that's where I met Adam. We played and we weren't great. No one sang until we met this Korean kid named Pia.
Pia. I
Yeah.
remember many stories about Pia.
And he was 2 years older than us, and he had played in bands in South Korea as one of those exchange students. And me and him really clicked because he was playing bass in the band class, but he could play anything. He could sing really well, and he had like gig experience.
Yeah.
So we really pushed it up a level. Once I started working with him, he was extremely good. And then high school hit, and then I met Aaron Sweeney and more and more bands.
Yeah, that's
started.
right.
So yeah, from right away, age 13, I was, for some reason, I knew that you were supposed to put bands together and play shows. I don't know how I knew that, but
Yeah, and so you just started doing it.
Mhm.
That's the way you got to do it.
yeah,
Is you just got to do it.
I guess so.
That's cool. And so then you, Aaron, and Adam stayed pretty tight, playing, right? Kind of once you
Well, Adam's so talented at everything he picks up, right? So he was head and shoulders above any other bass player in middle school and even high school, I'd say. And he was so fun to play with, right?
Yeah.
So Adam and I played a lot together, and then the other guys in that first band weren't that serious. The Korean kid had to go back to Korea to join the army.
Oh yeah.
So we were kind of out a band, and I still wanted a band so bad. And then in high school, I was hanging out in the band room, as band geeks do. And then I met this guy named Aaron Sweeney, and he was sort of a guitar virtuoso in Sardis Senior.
Yeah.
And so we both liked Led Zeppelin a lot, and so we started playing together. I said I know a bass player. We got Adam involved, and then the struggle was a singer. So we used a guy named Spencer for a while, and he was really enthusiastic. We played Rage Against the Machine songs and Red Hot Chili Peppers, and he was always for it. But there's something about people who start singing young that just have an ability that others don't, right? Like Spencer was starting in high school.
Oh yeah. Okay, I see. What you mean.
I just find that there's people who sang in church or had singing in their life when they're kids just can sing better than most people.
I mean, and I guess it's just the hours putting into it, right?
I
Like
guess
whether you think you're actually practicing or not.
Mm-hmm.
If you're singing, you're practicing, you're strengthening your voice, and you're yeah, that's interesting.
So that first group, or that second group, I guess, my high school band was called, I think we called ourselves The Brink.
Yes, that's what it was. I was trying to remember.
And then we did
I remember that.
hockey games, Chiefs games and Huskers games, and we gigged a whole bunch all through high school, and I was just obsessed.
Yeah.
I took it, probably looking back, I took it very, very seriously, and then it was like, these are just like fun little gigs. But
it shows I feel like you probably made a huge step in your talent and your ability over 4 years or so, or 5 years, like since that kind of grade 9 area.
Yeah.
Till
time.
a couple of years after high school.
So,
that was like bam. Like you made strides where by the end of that, you're good enough. You're going on tour across Canada or playing with lots of big bands. I mean, later on in your 20s, but I would feel like that's where your years of hardcore practice start really pay off.
Totally. High school I was really into the jazz bands too.
Yeah.
So I did that, traveled with the school band, and I got into like a BC honor band. So I was really into the jazz music, and then I was playing Red Hot Chili Peppers and Rage and our own original songs. So I kind of had the best of both worlds, and that's all I did and thought about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so then I feel like we come to the fateful time where I enter your life.
Yep.
By chance, I was singing at a restaurant in Agassiz, and your parents saw me, and you guys had kind of parted ways with Spencer.
Yeah, Spencer went and did his own thing. I think he moved in with a girl or went to school in Vancouver, or he kind of started doing his own thing. I can't remember. There wasn't an exact breakup moment. I think just life got in the way, and he was too busy.
The Brink rebranded.
Yeah, pretty much. So we graduated high school, and Aaron was 2 years older than me and Adam. And I always kept in touch with Aaron. We played here and there. I wanted a band again. I wanted a serious band with a real singer. No offense to Spencer. He just wasn't a fully trained singer or anything, right? Like, he was just somebody trying to fill the role, and he did well. But we wanted like a real singer. And so Aaron and I were playing together. I invited Adam back in. We were like, let's do this seriously. Let's write a bunch of songs and find a singer. Mm-hmm. And then just see what happens. So we rented a pool house in Langley. Yeah. Because Aaron was going to school in Vancouver, and Adam and I were still in Chilliwack. And so we'd meet in Langley. We redid this pool house so we could record all these demos we had. And we recorded a whole bunch of songs, and we started auditioning singers. Aaron reached out to a whole bunch. Adam and I tried to keep an ear out for people. Some guys came out to Langley, and some people emailed us auditions. Some of them were hilarious. And then just nothing. There was nothing around. I was wondering what was going to happen. And then my parents were at this diner in Agassiz, and the rest is history.
Yeah. And so we started practicing and playing shows and saved up some money to record an EP. Yeah. 5-song EP that we did out at the factory. No.
Yeah, we first recorded at Tractor Grease.
Yes. Oh, right.
We kind of cut our teeth.
Holy cow,
we had those couple songs, Your Break Like a Wave.
Yeah.
And we did them at Tractor Grease, and we got a video and those recordings. So we had something.
I can't believe I forgot that.
Yeah, we had something to sell at shows.
Like the Stars.
Out. Yeah, that's right. Wow. I listened to them the other day, actually.
I got to go back and find those. So my dream is still to have a PMS reunion show. Yeah. Where we get the four of us in here, or I guess and then bring Woody in halfway.
We need a bigger board.
Yeah, we will. Well, we'll just surround this mic. Yeah. But so I really want to talk about all that with all the guys here and go through a bunch of the songs. But we did pick one that we were going to play off the EP, the 5-song EP that we recorded out in Vancouver.
Yeah, and this was a very seminal moment for me because I grew up obsessed with Led Zeppelin and Red Hot Chili Peppers and all these bands, and I knew they went to studios and they did things. And we went and recorded in Chilliwack, and I was like, that was cool, but that wasn't what it sounds like when you read about. What are we missing? Yeah. So we saved up like damn near $10,000. Yeah. Gigging, Andrew and I and Aaron and Adam, just like slugging it out, gigging, having a hell of a time. Saved up all this money, and then we booked like a real studio in Vancouver with a real producer.
It for a week or 10 days?
9 days, I think it was.
9 days.
Yeah, with real producer, real engineer. It was the same studio that like Little Mountain, now called at the time was The Factory. Yeah. That's where Metallica, John Bon Jovi, like some heavy shit went down there. Yeah. And we were there.
And I totally agree with what you just said about that moment being like it was an actual recording experience. Mm-hmm. Like I was sleeping on friends' couches out in Vancouver, waking up, going to the studio, coming back late at night, sleeping on a couch, going back to the studio.
Yeah, I stayed with Maddie and Steve. Thank you, Maddie and Steve.
Yeah. And I just finished another album or whatever, but it was a different experience. I was kind of chipping away at it over a year, kind of just going to the studio a couple hours a week. But this was, going to that studio for 10 days. There's nothing like it. Like that was, it was an awesome experience. And we got some really cool, I haven't listened to these in quite a while too. Maybe we'll listen on our road trip up.
I check in with them once in a while, but these, to this day, I think these are some of the best all around sonic recordings.
Yeah, they're awesome. And so you'll hear Dylan's drumming on this one, obviously. Yeah. As that was his part in Pardon My Striptease. And this song is called
Rattle My Brain.
yourself, lost in gardens and memories, finding your way out. Just don't close your eyes, the night is young for change. Just don't close your eyes, the song is all it will take. These notes will carry me home, and rattle my brain awake. Cool wind ripping in my ears. These notes will carry me home, and rattle my brain awake. Spring light peeking in my ears. We were poor boys lost in their space, beneath our path and shadows. I was a loose thread, troubling her life, knowing she'd tear me out. And just don't close your eyes, the night is young for change. Just don't close your eyes, let the music heal the pain. These notes will carry me home, and rattle my brain awake. Cool wind ripping in my ears. These notes will carry me home, and rattle my brain awake. Spring light peeking in my ears. Yeah. Well, there's a clock ticking in the distance. A hand tittles down my time. I gotta keep my head from dipping. I got to sharpen up my mind. Hey, yeah. These notes will carry me home, and rattle my brain awake. Cool wind ripping in my ears. These notes will carry me home, and rattle my brain awake. Spring light peeking in my ears.
I have not listened to that in a while, actually.
Rattle My Brain by Pardon My Striptease.
That's cool. Good singing.
Thanks, man. And I kind of had a little revelation to listen to that, just about how much I can really enjoy those songs because I didn't write them, and so to
Yeah.
me it's like, a lot of my newer stuff I'm writing, and I have a hard time listening to it too much because I start nitpicking everything in the way I wrote the song because it's my song.
Mm-hmm.
But this, like, I was just singing. Like Aaron had, his music and melody and lyrics pretty much, and I put a little bit of my spin on it. But for me, I'm like, fuck, that's a cool song. I love it. But I know if I had written like all the music and the guitar parts and stuff, I probably wouldn't be able to listen to it and enjoy it as much.
Yeah, it's weird for me because that era, I realized looking back, I only listened to drums in songs. And when we listened to the songs back, I only was like, what am I doing? Does it work?
Yeah,
Does that work? Does that sound okay? Did I pull it off? And now I know a few of their instruments and I listened a little bit more fully. It's like, whoa, Andrew's singing, that's cool. Or that guitar thing was wicked. Like, I didn't notice them before.
Yeah, man, all those recordings I love. And I'm really stoked to get this. We got to make this PMS reunion happen so then we can go front to back about just Pardon My Striptease stuff. Listen to all these songs and reminisce,
Totally.
It'd be a good time. But for now, we're focusing on you. Dylan Weightman. That's the artist you are. So that's some of Dylan's drumming. Because pretty much up until then, you were just drumming.
Oh, yeah, 100%. That's all I wanted
Playing
to do.
drums, that's all you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Would you say your love for drumming has died off, or it's just kind of here and you're trying to get your love for other music stuff up to there? Or what's kind of been the last 4 years, I guess, kind of 4 or 5 years? What's been going on in that head of yours as you've entered into some of your solo work or songwriting, learning guitar, learning piano? Was it a plateau, or is it just kind of wanting to learn other stuff, expanding your mind?
Well, let's talk about it like this. Let's say, okay, so that was a defining moment, us recording songs at the factory.
Yeah.
We went out, we slanged that EP as much as we could. We competed in Battle of the Bands, and you know, we did actually pretty well. We did as much as we could with that EP. But when we went to record again, we didn't have many songs. We added Woody in. He tried to give ideas. That the root of the issue was songwriting. There was never enough songs to go around and new content. We always kind of relied on Aaron. But at the same time, after that EP, we became critical of some of the choices he made artistically.
I think so. Yeah, I think.
But we also didn't.
There were a fair amount of songs. I think it was everyone deciding on a song they liked. I feel like you probably had 2 or 3 songs you really liked. Aaron probably had 4 or 5 songs he really liked. Like we probably had 15 or 20 songs, right? But it was never like everyone couldn't agree on which ones were good, or which ones could help
like
us.
I'd hear things and some I'd be like, guys, how do you not hear this? This is such a good song. You guys be like, I don't think we should do that one. Let's focus on these. And I'd be like, what?
Yeah, that's where it was.
And so that was the start of me seeing, well, people have different tastes, and if I want to contribute more, I got to be able to articulate what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
But I kind of was just too lazy. I was like, you know what? I love drums. I've been to all these clinics. I know there's a career in just this. I'm just going to stick with this. But that was the start of me starting to realize that songwriting was some sort of power, right? Like if you have the songs, shit gets done. Yeah. Basically, right? So we went and recorded. After that, I was still able to just play the drums, but then it was a tumultuous time for our band, right? Like you were going through a lot of personal stuff. We were trying to keep the whole thing going and keep playing gigs, but there just was nobody writing songs. Yeah. So it sort of disintegrated. Me and you started doing acoustic duo stuff. Yep. You wanted to pay the bills playing gigs, so I started playing behind you. And that's where when we stripped down to just 2 people, like I said earlier, I only listened to drums all this time. When it was just 2 of us, I could hear very clearly. Like if I wanted to back you up properly, I had to listen to what you were doing. So all those years that we played together, I started to realize, like, man, like Andrew sings really well. I love the lines in this song. I love the way he plays the guitar in that song. And then I started thinking more and more, like, fuck, I wish I could write songs like we're playing, like some of these great covers. And so I started to realize, like, there's a block and I need to learn other instruments to get around that. So that was sort of the start. Us doing the duo, after a couple of years of it, I was like, I want to be able to do some of this stuff.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But for your first question, no diminished love of drumming. If anything, the more I learn other instruments, I feel like the better I play the drums. Yeah. Because I can fit better.
Yes, you know your part a bit better in the entirety of a song.
And also, like, a lot of those things you hear me do on that with the double kick and the China cymbal and all that stuff. Yeah. I did that because I realized I wanted to contribute more creatively. But it's dangerous when a drummer wants to do that, and sometimes the songs don't call for it. Yeah, and then you have to rein it back, but you have no other outlet, and you start to get like frustrated. I think that's why a lot of bands have problems. Yeah, because everybody wants to contribute creatively, but it doesn't always call for it. So since I've been writing and singing and doing my own songs, when I play drums, I am totally happy to just play the drums. Yeah, and I feel like it's made me a lot better.
Yeah, yeah, I can see how, like you were saying, you want to contribute, but you don't want to overstep or step on anyone's toes in a song sense. And it's kind of like, if you know in your head, you're like, okay, this song needs just a simple beat, 4 on the floor, whatever, then you can tell yourself that. It's probably a lot easier to take that than someone else telling you, saying, hey, simplify things. Don't do this, when you don't have that knowledge. You know what I mean?
Totally.
It's kind of not an ego thing, but it's just like, you don't want someone else telling you how to play your part. So it's, if you know what's best for the song, even if you have to tell yourself to simplify things, then you can take it a lot easier than hearing it from someone else.
Exactly.
Yeah, I could see that. So you picked up a guitar. That was kind of the first thing, or was piano
and
first?
I don't know if I've like properly stated this before, but the more I think about it, you were my main inspiration for picking up the guitar.
Thanks, man.
Like some of those cover versions, Jack Johnson or Tracy Chapman that we've done, it just made me want to be able to do some of that stuff so bad for no other reason than you make it sound so good. Yeah. And then listening to the stories closer in some of those songs, I was like, I swear I could do that. I want to take a shot at that. So first I had to actually go back and learn new instruments, which was really tough.
Yeah, it was for sure. That you started writing songs. How long ago did the EP come out?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah, next month.
Next month. And so that was 3 songs that you wrote yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we kind of missed a little bit of Plans and Disguises stuff in between here, right?
Right.
That's kind of...
So that was another...
Because I was thinking your first songs you were writing, but that's kind of more where you started. Hey?
Totally.
Your own kind of songwriting process.
I forgot about that era. So
with Woody. Yeah.
Part of my striptease basically disintegrates, but if not... It was amicable. It was just it couldn't go on at the time. It was just like when I graduated high school and I still wanted a sick band. Like there's still some unfinished business here. And Woody was getting into recording. He contributed the most bits of songs, so we started hanging out a bit more. I would try writing some lines. He let me try singing some stuff over at his place. That was kind of the start. Wasn't great, but it made me realize how much I wanted to write down some words and contribute a little bit more. So then before we knew it, we had one song that was cool. So we did 2 more, and we started recording a new EP, Plans and Disguises, turned into a full-length album. And that was another defining moment in like my music education.
Yeah.
Because being with just 2 guys recording a whole album with keyboards, guitars, bass, drums, and Woody did a lot of it because I didn't have the technical skills, but we both deliberated on, does it need something else here? Yeah, I think it needs an organ. Mm-hmm. And then we'd put it in.
So you kind of went down from 4 people in a band making decisions down to you and Woody in a band making decisions.
Yeah.
And so obviously Woody was on as my first artist showcase, and we played a couple of those Plans and Disguises tunes, and then you kind of went the next step down to just yourself, writing tunes and making your own decisions.
And it's probably something to do with, I guess at the end of the day, I have one of those personalities that I'm like, well, if you believe that strongly about something, then we'll just do that.
Yeah.
I don't really like force my opinion. And I think all this time I have these alternative ideas I'm thinking in every collaborative situation. So it just came, if I want it to sound like exactly what I'm picturing, I just got to learn how to do all this shit by myself.
Yeah.
And it wasn't any sort of, fuck these guys. It was just like, okay, there's still something I'm hearing that if I want it that bad, I got to just suck it up.
And it seems to happen in every band.
I think so.
In every aspect of music. Like, Aaron's probably done his own stuff.
Yeah.
Woody's done his own solo stuff too. I have, and you have. And it's as an artist, you kind of owe it to yourself to really hear and find out what your own art is, or what it would sound like if you really took control and made sure it was just you putting it out there.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. I was so stoked when I heard you were putting out your own music, and I was just excited to hear what you had been working on and spending so much time on, and so you put these 3 songs out there, and
so all this music up to this time is recorded with a guy named Sheldon Zaharko.
Yeah,
he's like our resident go-to audio engineer.
Yeah,
now Woody does it too, but Sheldon's been the guy. So I had these couple songs, and I've always had some serious confidence issues with my creative ideas. I wrote 2 of them, I think, and I was like, I think they're songs, but they can't be actual songs. Like I probably couldn't record these. And then I was doing some drumming work with Alan Pocker from these kids. And it's funny because I had such a long-standing relationship with all you guys that I didn't feel like I could show you guys, because all those years we'd work on songs together, I always felt like if I had an idea, either I couldn't articulate it or it was never considered the right move. And so I was like, well, I don't want to show them because I feel like I'm going to get a bunch of feedback, and I don't want feedback. I almost just want a green light. Like I just want someone to say, these are good, you should record them. And I didn't know that's what I wanted, but when I showed them to Alan, I was like, yeah, I have these songs. I don't know what I should do with them. And he was like, fuck it, dude, record them. We're too old to have demos.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, green light from a really accomplished musician. So I phoned Sheldon right away. I was like, I was so shy too. I was like, would you, like, if I have songs, would you record them with me? Is that a waste of your time? Or like, I was so nervous. He was like, of course. And he had no idea what he was getting into. So we booked the day. It was like in April or May or something like that, 2 years ago. And then I showed up at his house with like a guitar and some shakers and stuff. He's like, what are we doing? And I was like, well, I emailed you a couple songs. I guess he didn't get the email, but he was like, I wasn't sure if you wanted to record like a bunch of drums. He's like, I had no idea what we were doing today.
That's
I was like, no, I wrote some songs. And so we did the whole thing in Sheldon's apartment. I didn't want to put any drums on it because I was still, all those years, I felt like I was learning how to record them properly, and I can get way into my own head with a drum beat. So shakers, hand claps, acoustic guitars, and my first singing and lyrics and all that.
Yeah, that's so cool. And they did turn out really well. What's the one we're going to play here?
I think we're doing Just What I Needed.
That's right.
Yeah. So I can even, there's just 3 songs. So the first one I ever wrote was Goodbye Farewell. It was my first experience putting chords together by myself. Like I knew this sounded good, and then these 2 sound good. And then I came up with a melody and a little story. And I was like, cool. Like that's still one of my favorites because it's the first song I wrote. I remember sitting in front of the TV and I just banged it out. It all came really naturally. And then I did Leaving on a Jet. And I remember I showed Jeff and Desi, 2 of my good friends, always really supportive. And they said green light, like that's actually a good song. And I was like, whoa, I think I wrote a really catchy song. And then I booked the time with Sheldon, but I only had 2, and I told him we'd record 3. And I had this other chord progression. And I was like, fuck, I got to get another song. So I think once I booked the session, and like a week before, I just scribbled a bunch of lyrics and found I had to move the key up and down, which was out of my comfort zone. And then the song just sort of came together. It wasn't done until I booked the session, and then I panicked and put it together. And most people say it's the strongest one on the EP. Yeah. And I really like it.
I think it's my favorite for sure. So all those tunes you can get Apple Music, Spotify, wherever you get your music under Dylan Weightman. And we're going to play Leaving on a Jet.
Oh no, Just What I Needed, right?
Just What I Needed.
Yeah.
Right here.
And shout out, Kyler Pierce came and played the guitar on this because he's got those tasty licks I don't. And then James Stobie played the accordion, which is a nice touch. Nice.
I've been a big star. I had it all figured out. Back to a small bar down the street from my house. Round and round we go, before you know you'll be back at the start. Fate's a cruel bitch, man, I guess she had to change her heart. I don't know what I need, but I know I need it more than ever now. Won't you tell me how to be, 'cause I'm tired of these ordinary crowds. I'm tired, I've been running on fumes and my patience depleted. Oh, maybe a little dirt in my face gave me just what I needed. Oh, just what I needed. Oh, I won a few fights. I thought my dues had been paid. I'm feeling alright. Dreams starting to fade. Round and round we go, before you know, doubting every decision. Time she works against you, and she'll steal your vision. I don't know what I need, but I know I need it more than ever now. Won't you tell me how to be, 'cause I'm tired of these ordinary crowds. I broke up, been bruised and abused, been bent and mistreated. Now I see begging down on my knees gave me just what I needed. Oh, just what I needed. Oh, just what I needed. Chilling from the local brews, all I needed. I don't know what I need, but I know I need it more than ever now. Won't you tell me how to be, 'cause I'm tired of these ordinary crowds. I broke up, being bruised and abused, been bit and mistreated. Had a taste of a door in my face, it was just what I needed. Just what I needed. Oh, just what I needed. Oh, just what I needed.
So cool, man. Well
Thank
done.
you.
I had never heard that accordion before. I never
Neat,
picked it out. Yeah.
That's why I love working with Sheldon, because he listens to the song so many times, and he'll just be like, "This would be cool in here," and he has so much experience. He said accordion out of nowhere. We did not discuss an accordion, and I was on the phone with Kyler. I was like, "Yeah, have you guys come? Here's the address. I'd really love you to come play on the song." And then Sheldon says, "Tell him to bring an accordion." I was like, "Hey, did James have an accordion?" Yeah, he does. Bring it. So he brought the accordion, and I love it.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, well done, man.
Thank you.
So moving forward from here, I guess after that you recorded Bora Bora, which is what you're going to play live for us at the end of this interview, right?
I am, yeah.
And coming to today and moving forward, what's any plans or goals as just a musician in general? What's on your mind lately?
Yeah, good question. It's been getting harder and harder to put stuff out. You start to doubt yourself.
Yeah.
Like I love those songs. Like when I listen back to that, I'm so fucking proud of that recording session with Sheldon. And then Bora Bora turned out really cool. But yeah, you start to doubt your writing and everything. But even just doing this makes me realize, like, fuck it, I should just put out more stuff. So I have a number of more songs ready to go. And the next step is a little more instrumentation. So I started those very acoustic.
Yeah.
I have a few songs that require a little bit more, like Bora Bora had a little more in it, and these next ones will have just a little bit more as I'm learning how it all fits together better.
Yeah.
So more recordings, a goal. Fuck, man. I'll be honest about my like overall goal. I've always had big aspirations with music, but you get kicked around a little and ups and downs, and then you feel weirder and weirder still saying it. But I would love to go on like a 2 to 3 to 5 year run where you just have the hot hand, right? You write a couple fucking huge songs that just do it for people, and you get to play some great gigs and festivals and travel. And even if it just lasted 2 to 5 years, I just think it would be
man, of course, that's the dream.
So I just want to write a couple really strong songs that set me up for that. But in the short term, I'm going to be booking some studio time and recording more.
Awesome. And you had a taste of that kind of tour life.
Yeah.
We should talk a little bit about that, because your cross Canada tour with Kieran Mercer and Marianas Trench, right? You got picked up playing drums.
Yeah, so I would break up my career into 3 segments. I did the band phase. I did a freelance phase.
Hired gun.
Exactly. So that started with you, did all the acoustic duo stuff, and then I started to get more and more session gigs. Everybody always needs a drummer. There's a really strong country music scene out here. What time do we have to leave?
We're pretty good.
Okay.
Well, we'll talk a bit about this tour, and then we'll just get set up for that.
So session music. I was playing drums with 5, 6, 7, 8 different people at once, and then I got hooked up with Kieran Mercer. I responded to a Craigslist ad. We did a couple gigs in 1 year, and then it wasn't 2, 3, 4 years later that he said, "Hey, I got a big tour and a new EP, and if you're free in March, I'd love you to come with me." And so we put the band together. Adam Coleman came out of the woodwork and got in on that one. James Stobie as well. Yeah,
it's so funny how all these different projects all tie in together, and it's anywhere from this successful to this successful. Yeah. It's really cool to see how everything.
So Kieran is on the record label 604 Records, same as Marianas Trench, and he had a really strong new EP out. So they put him on the road with Marianas Trench, and we got to do an arena tour. And
so was that everything you dreamed of? Pretty cool, just okay, or I don't want to go on the road again? Where does it fit into some of those?
It's
because like that's what you're talking about, right? It's kind of going on the road doing this kind of tour. Like that's a pretty big level tour.
Yeah.
Yes, there's
it was
bigger,
the real deal.
But that's that's pretty high up there. So how did it feel being on the road like that?
So everything I ever dreamed of, for sure. Yeah. Like as an unattached male, I don't care about driving 13 hours a day and sleeping in a shitty hotel room. Like it was awesome. Yeah. Getting to play music at that level was incredible. Definitely challenges you don't expect. Actually, a lot that you would expect. Like you trap 4 guys in a van, like you bicker over stupid shit. But nothing huge came up. Like everything was pretty much okay.
It's like Tim Hortons or Subway for lunch kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, definitely everything I ever dreamed of. But it also made it very hard to go back to not doing that stuff. Yeah. I'd still say that's something I struggle with. Like getting a taste of that, it makes everything after sort of frustrating. So the last couple of years have been gigs with you have been really good education for me because, like, dude, when we play a gig and people actually like what we're
Enjoy
doing,
it. Yeah.
it's totally so validating, right? Like, it's so awesome. So yeah, the tour was great, but it also presented new challenges I didn't expect.
'Cause you got to find a way to get back out there and do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And ideally, as your songs, as your artist.
Yeah, so that's the goal. Is like we were a support act. So I was a supporting musician for a support act, right?
Yeah.
And so when I came home from that tour, you know, it's Kieran's career, and he only has so much control over it with managers and agents and all that.
Yeah.
And I just realized, like, man, there's so many people. I'm so many people down the command chain of having any control over how busy I am,
Right.
and whether I get those opportunities. And so starting to write songs was me taking a little bit of that control, like dipping my toe in the water. Like, could I write songs that stand up? And if I can, now it's up to me how busy I am, right? Like, no more excuses. I'm not waiting on someone to write songs or waiting on someone to book me. I can do it.
Yeah, man. Well, I hope you get some of those songs out there, and I hope some things can start happening for you. And
Yeah.
obviously, if I can help, I will. But this other kid on the way, it might, hold me back a little bit.
You got a
more.
new EP, a new
I know the
record?
new
Is that an
album. I'm stoked about
So
it.
maybe that hits it big, and then I can back you up.
Yeah.
We already got booked at the Junos.
There you go. Yeah, pretty close. Thanks to Jamie's mom, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we are gonna wrap up. We're gonna get you set up to do a live performance of Bora Bora. So you guys stay tuned. Thank you very much. Can I have a hug? I feel like
man.
it'll be a good thumbnail.
Good awkward thumbnail.
Yeah. So you guys, thanks for checking out another episode. Dylan, we're gonna do this live thing, and then we gotta get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
So peace.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Let's go to Bora Bora. Girl, you know that I adore you. We'll blow up our money. It don't mean that much to me, yeah. Don't need no reason to stay here all season. Living easy ain't half bad. Let's go to Honolulu. You broke my heart, but I see right through you. We'll hang out by a palm tree, making little memories. Yeah, it ain't hard to leave when life's getting uneven. Living easy ain't half bad. Yeah. Let's go to Acapulco. I'll be John and you'll be Yoko. Imagine what we could see. Living double fantasy. Yeah, I'm a begging and a pleading. You best believe it. Living easy ain't half bad. Yeah. Let's go to Bora Bora. Girl, you know that I adore you.
Mr. Dylan Weightman, Bora Bora. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, man.